Okay, priming. When you're priming cases, you're going to find that there's several different types of crimps on these things. Now you have a standard kind of crimp, and we'll take some close-ups of this. And then there's another kind of crimp where it has like a three-pronged looking crimp. They're all basically the same way to remove. Use your deburring tool. They sell a primer pocket crimp removing tool, and everything with the 50 is bigger, including the price for all the tools to it. So I try to find different ways of getting around buying stuff that if I don't have to buy it, I'm not going to. So I just work my way around it. Okay, here's two examples of two different types of crimps. Now here you see this, the standard crimp you see on most military cases, and if you run a pick through it, you'll feel it grab. This one I've already cleaned out. This one here I have not. And these guys here, you'll feel resistance, and just take your deburring tool and give it a nice little clean out in there. And you don't want to take out too much material because you'll start getting flattened primers, but these are two of the most common type of crimps you're going to run into. Let's talk about primers. As far as I know, the most commonly available primer for the 50 is made by CCI. It's the number 35 primer. And these aren't cheap, but if you can get a hold of them, the most economical way of purchasing them is getting them in bulk. So I pick them up 1,000 at a time. Now the confusing thing is when you're ordering these things, especially ordering them online through Midway or any of the other reloading component places, there's a number, CCI number 35 primer, and there's the CCI number 34 primer, and there is a big difference. The 34 is a large rifle primer for the 7.62 NATO 30-06 or 760 by 39. So make sure you understand the difference between the number 34 and the number 35. The number 35 is the 50 primer. And it is a big primer. You don't want this going off in your hand. This is an extremely powerful primer because it has to ignite charges of over 200 grains of powder, and it has to ignite it in such a way where you get good consistent ignition. Now we're going to go ahead and prime a case, and I want to show you how to set up your priming system. Okay, setting up your priming system. The first thing you have to do is reinsert this collar back into your press. And this is so that the shell holder will screw into the top. And you don't have to lock this in because the priming system is not as critical as it is for the face of the die in this to meet, but you'll see that in a second. Now we're going to show you how to install this to the press. When you get your priming system, it comes in a couple pieces. You have the actual ram and the primer guide that actually holds the primer in here. And what it does, when you take your primer, it sets in here like this, and the spring gives it rebound tension. So when it pushes into the case, it does this sort of thing. And there's a right way and a wrong way to put this together. You can put it in this way and it's not going to work. This thing has to be, the seating ram has to be below here. Go ahead and install your spring and begin to thread this in like so. There's a hole in here that you can put a paper clip or something and tighten it up, but I don't do that. So now this is ready to be installed into the press. Okay, This thing, the actual priming ram, threads into the bottom of the reloading press ram itself. And it has an indexing collar on it, just like a standard die would. Go ahead and roll it in there. I just hand tighten it. You don't have to wrench it on there. If you want to, you can. Once you get it on there, go ahead and drop your primer anvil side up, and you're ready to prime. Okay, depending on how your system is set up, you can run into trouble with the ram jamming into the bottom of the shell holder assembly, and when that happens, it'll shoot the primer out just like that. Because what it'll do is it'll push the little guide down, and when it releases, it'll shoot back up and launch the primer out. So what I do is I keep mine just a little bit loose to help guide it in, and I use my fingers through the bottom to make sure that when it comes up like this, you will feel the tension on it if it starts to spring down, but this is what the case is going to experience. This is going to come up. Then when it comes in, the case will grab it, and then it'll insert the primer into the case. So let me go ahead and put a case I've already prepped. Here's one that I've already taken the crimp out of. We'll go ahead and insert this on here. Make sure the cartridge is fully inserted into the shell holder, otherwise you're going to have some priming problems. Just like seating a bullet, once you feel it breach the head of the case, go ahead and stand back. Make sure you have your safety glasses on. If you don't, just turn your face away. You don't want hot gas going into your face. Push down until you feel it stop. You shouldn't have to try to muscle the primer in there. If you do, you have too much crimp on the primer pocket, and you can deform the primer itself. Go ahead and take the case out. Run your finger across it. If it feels like, this one feels fairly well seated, but if you think that the primer isn't fully seated, go ahead, stick it back in. Give it a little push. Don't over muscle it, like I said. Then you should feel like a little indentation right here. Then you have a nice seated primer. Now you're ready to charge the brass.